Oh, we're recording? Okay. Hey, welcome back, you guys, to Mixtape Talk. I'm here with the legend, and I know I say that a lot. I gotta stop, but I actually really think of you guys as legends as you guys get on the show. But I'm here with Izu, CEO of Riches and Saints. If you guys do not know, then I know your social media is not popping. So specifically, I wanted you on because Izu, Riches and Saint were the first company that I reached out to personally when I was opening Self-Made. And we were able to forge a good friendship. You were just coming up. I remember you had an office. Where the fuck was your office at?
Man, it was like the border of Rancho Cucamonga and Fontana.
That shit was not Rancho. That was Fontana through and through.
So the crazy thing is, it feels 100% like Fontana, but we're right on the border. So we were able to put Rancho Cucamonga.
That picture right here.
Hey, first of all, shout out to Fontana, because if you're from Fontana, don't give me a hard time.
Right, no, but I feel like people from Fontana know what's up.
Yeah.
Not North Fontana, but South Fontana, like middle and South Fontana, they know exactly what's up. Yeah.
Are you on the 210? Are you on Summit? Okay.
Exactly.
No, but I remember Matt, shout out to Savvy. I was driving with him there, and I'm like, bro, we're by railroad tracks right now. Like, there is nothing ever good that happens when you're by railroad tracks.
Facts.
And I go,
literally, like the back of the building was the Fontana border. Like that was the Fontana border, and we were right there.
I think he just came from the gym too when we got there.
Oh yeah.
Like we didn't get the meeting with you. We got
no, we did.
No, he came in after. He's like, hey, I wanted to stop in.
Yeah, we weren't initially supposed to meet.
Yeah,
but then
he stopped in.
Made it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about it. I was like, yo, I gotta be there.
And that's what's up. And that's one thing that I took from that meeting was you being the boss, you being the CEO. We were really nobody. I mean, I'm still nobody, but hey, where's my camera? Hey, but I learned that from you. I'm like, as a representative of your business, you wanted to make sure that you made at least your presence felt.
Yeah.
You see who your people are dealing with.
Yeah,
you're very hands-on with the day-to-day operations, and that's one thing that I really respected about you. But he had a whole team of people that really helped us take Self-Made at West Covina from like no one knew we were even there into putting us on social media. You helped me with a lot of things. I could go down the list. Like, you were the first one to hit me up randomly, like, hey bro, you need to start shooting more reels.
Oh yeah.
He told me about reels.
Yeah.
A lot of you guys don't know, he got me a paid ad that I was paid out for doing a post. So
I love it.
if you guys are new to social media, been doing social media, this is one that you're gonna want to listen to.
100%.
So your story to me is really authentic, but it's also really inspiring. So a lot of people that don't know, you were born in the United States, but you grew up in Africa.
Yes.
Right. So let's tap into like you growing up in Africa and how you became this like mogul that you are now.
No, I appreciate that. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. I think it's always a blessing when I get to like share other people's stages with them. So this platform is awesome. I'm glad I get to do it. But yeah, I born in Atlanta, Georgia. So Atlanta's like Atlanta's a lot different from when I grew up. But born in Atlanta, lived there for 10 years. And interestingly enough, like my parents had moved from Nigeria to the United States. First they were in New York, then they moved to Atlanta, and they had been, they did their best to like create a good life for us. Like, especially those first 10 years, it was like, we were like middle class, suburban, like 25 minutes outside of Atlanta. So it was actually a really good life. We had a 4-bedroom house. It was nice. And the economy, I don't know if you guys remember that time, but the economy was like going really great. And then 2008 happened. So that's when the housing market crash happened. And so my parents, who were small business owners, like it absolutely tanked them. They're also homeowners, so it absolutely tanked them on that end too. Well. Yeah. So they had to make a fundamental decision. Like, they're like, yo, are we gonna stay here, and just like literally like basically be homeless and figure it out, or like let's just go back to our roots, let's go back to our foundation. And then they saw it as a good opportunity for me and my 3 brothers to essentially like learn our culture, learn like the culture that like they grew up in. We were also the first people in our entire lineage to be born in the United States. Wow. Yeah. So we moved back to Nigeria, and that's when life got interesting, because we went from like suburban like Atlanta, like private schools, to like I didn't like a lot of people go back to like Africa or Nigeria, especially Nigeria, because Nigeria really is like the Mecca of Africa. I don't care what any other African tells you. Like it really is. Like when you first go there, you're at the big city, right? And I have I have really rich relatives, but my parents chose to take us back where they grew up, like a village. Like I'm talking like there's no paved roads. It's all like it's just sand and palm trees and just like, like it was a village, some like we would go 2-3 months without electricity. Like that was what I grew up. So now think about going from Atlanta, suburban, like nice life, kind of like rancho type of lifestyle down like to a village in Africa. Like, you know what I'm saying? We were staying with my grandparents at the time. And luckily, my grandfather was the chief of the village, so he lived okay. But we would have to. He didn't have like running water. Like we would have to walk 2 miles, like with a wheelbarrow or with these like 15-gallon like things, and like walk, like pump water, pay for water, pump it, and then carry it like 2 miles back. Like it's crazy. Like and now I'm like revisiting. Like, it's crazy.
You're thinking back, you're having memories.
Yeah. I was 10 years old, and so like, and I think the cool thing and what's helped me like a lot is like I always looked at life like an adventure. So it was not really like being poor to me. It was just like we get to like experience something new, and I feel like that's always been like part of my journey. But so we're there. And that there's so many crazy things happen. Like we just learned what it meant to live with basically nothing, right? Because my dad came back to the United States while we were there and like was just sending us money back to like, he would get whatever odd job he could because they had lost everything. So that was a very interesting period of time. Grew up there, really definitive for me. That's really where I got to discover, that's where I discovered who God was. That's how I discovered, I got closer to my brothers, and then eventually moved. My parents, like when I was about to go into my junior year of high school there, then my parents were like, okay, we're ready for you guys to go back, but we're just sending you guys back by yourselves.
Oh,
so
wow.
we came back but I don't know why. To this day, I do not know why my parents did this. So we went from Atlanta to Nigeria. Then we went from Nigeria to Alabama, like middle of nowhere, Alabama. Like a lot of people, only like close people know this, but like middle of nowhere, Alabama. Like not a big city. I don't know what it is with my parents where they just can't take us to like civilized places. But we go to like, middle of nowhere, Alabama, and met some of my best friend for life I met him there. But then there was a lot of people who just like, I'm from Africa. I'm the first African they've ever met.
I was going to say, how was Alabama?
It's very racist. It was very racist. Like as you can imagine. Nah, so it was interesting because that's where we got to really understand what being like Black in America is like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like it's not fair, but you just got to deal with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and then finished high school there, graduated with 9 people.
Wow.
9
Your senior class
my
was
senior,
9 people.
that's how small town this was. Like,
Holy
and that's
shit.
when people see like what they see now, they don't understand. Like
No.
it's not like everybody's like, oh, you've lived in LA your whole life? No, I have not lived in LA. So then from there, went to decided that's when I was like, yo, like I just gotta figure this life thing out on my own because my parents just keep putting me in the wrong place. Yeah. So like at 17, graduated, I put myself in college and through college. And college is where like, I think I started to define my own self. You know what I mean? Like, when you get to that certain point where you're just like, yo, like nobody's coming to save you, like nobody's coming to help you, nobody, like you can't like sit around just hoping and expecting something great to happen. Like it's not gonna be like all of a sudden like some miracle that's happened. Like not that those things can happen, but like you really have to put yourself in a position for a miracle, right? Or luck, people call it luck, but it's really just like you setting the foundation. So I mean I fought for internships. Like I'm talking about like my first year must actually go from my sophomore year going into my junior year. Like I had nowhere to go for like breaks. Like, so what I would do is I would find like I'll become friends with people, and that's where I learned really how to like be my extroverted self. Was like I'd make so many friends in college that every break I would just go home with somebody else and just kick it with their family. There's a lot of like, you know, well-off kids because it was a private, you know, Christian college. So I'll just be like, hey, I'm going with you to Minneapolis. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like I met like one of my mentors is like the CFO for the Vikings. Like that
That's
was crazy
insane.
stuff. So anyway, so my first I got blessed because I was able to go to Chicago. So I got an internship in Chicago, and it's like in working for PBS. That was my very first social media thing.
I cannot see you in the PBS office. This man comes in. If you're watching the YouTube, he has a Prada shirt on. He got the diamond chain PBS.
No, but like, yeah, that was. I mean, I posted that like little reel the other day.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if you
yep,
saw,
no, I
just
saw,
so people can see, like, hey, I have not always been this
Humble
person.
beginnings,
Yeah,
yeah.
very humble beginnings. Yeah, but now, so I got internship at PBS unpaid. So I was a communication. My parents had always wanted me to be a doctor my entire life. So when I had part of me deciding like, hey, I'm gonna like choose my own future, was like going into my sophomore year of college. When I finished my sophomore year of college, well, actually going into halfway through my sophomore year of college, like I was taking medical, like I was taking like biochemistry class. I was a biochemistry major. And then I'm just like, yo, like I don't know what it is. My whole life since I can remember, I was told I'm gonna be a doctor. Like you're gonna be a doctor. They were just like you were always the best grades and all that stuff. So like you're gonna be a doctor. And so I'm following the track that other people gave me, right? And halfway through my sophomore year of college, I'm just like, yo, like like these classes were like none of this like feels right to me, you know what I mean? And then I feel like, and I don't know, sometimes I feel like, you know, I had always been fascinated with science and the human anatomy, and then one day like I just felt like going into college, like I had this queasy feeling about blood all of a sudden, like, and I really felt like it was God being like, yo, I want to make sure you don't go down this path, because but like blood just started to make me really queasy. So I'm like, yo, there's something wrong. And then I just happened to sit down one day, and this kid named Ryan, his sister was a communications major, and I had one conversation with him. I was like, whoa, like that sounds cool. Like I don't know what, like it's so like broad and general. And then she says, you need to talk to my professor. I talked to her professor. He's so on the spot. I'm like, yo, I'm switching to communications. It took me, just to fast forward, it took me 2 years to tell my parents that I was a communications major. Yeah, because when I told my dad, he's like, that's like the kids who do nothing with their life. like you're, and like literally
Like, they're like,
even
it's so broad.
yeah,
What are you
even
gonna
up
do
to
with
me
it?
graduating, my parents, my dad was not happy to be there. He's like, you're graduating with the communication. What are you gonna do with that, right? So anyway, I got my internship in Chicago for PBS, and it was a broadcast. It was like 85% broadcast, 15% social media. And I learned that I didn't want to do broadcast, but I definitely wanted to do social media. And so then the next summer, I like fought for an opportunity to like, you know, run social media and intern for my mentor, my life mentor. So, and all these stories can all go on for 30
No, but
minutes.
so because you're talking about social media already, what year was that when you were like, social media is where I'm starting?
I was 18, so I think it was 2000. It's kind of like graduated in 16. So it was like 2014, 15, 2015.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like, I mean, we were so new to social media.
Yeah, I mean, but it was past the Facebook.
Yeah.
Instagram was on and popping by then.
Instagram, Snapchat was like
Snapchat was just
Snapchat just became a
Okay.
thing. Yeah. Snapchat just became a thing, but like not what we know. It's like stories and even videos. They didn't even have videos on like
everything
any
was
of the
just
platforms. Everything
Yeah.
was just pictures. Yeah. So got my internship. You know, my junior year going to my senior year, and my junior year going to my senior year, that summer I interned for this incredible person named Scott Williams, who's like my life mentor. You know, he didn't offer internships. He did not offer like anything like that, but like I just knew I needed to be there. You know what I mean? So, and he lived in Oklahoma City, right? So I just like I looked at all his stuff online. I looked up every YouTube video of him, all the interviews that he'd been on. And I was like, this guy's the first time I'd seen like a black successful like person that wasn't like, a rapper or like
An actor
an
or
actor.
something.
Like
Yeah.
it was
An athlete or something.
Yeah, he was
like
just an entrepreneur.
that.
And I'd never like seen that and been like, okay, like and it felt like me, you know what I mean? It was like almost like I could see myself being that person, because I wasn't a rapper, I wasn't an athlete, you know what I mean? I played sports, but I just knew that's not what I was gonna do. So I knew somebody who knew him, so I was like, hey, could you get his email for me? They got their email for me, and then I was like, I'm gonna send him an email. Could you tell that person who knows that person to tell him, yo, I'm gonna send him an email? And I put my heart and soul in that email. Like, it was really simple, but I still use that email today as a template for people who want to like gain mentors, or people who want to like, like just want to get a better version of their life. And and essentially, talked a little bit about me. But at the end, I wrapped it up with just saying, hey, like, I will work for you for free if you teach me what you know. Right. So, and here's where I got that from. Like, I did all my research on him, and he had one little like podcast interview with like a radio station or something like that. And they had asked him like, how did you get a start? And he basically had said, I was in a small town in Oklahoma, no father. I knew I needed a male figure in my life, so what I did was, like, I knew the only way to get out of here is to talk to somebody who, like, was wealthy. So he found the richest person in Oklahoma, in his city, and went to the guy and said, hey, I'll work for you for free if you teach me what you know. Wow. And he doesn't know that I used that on him later on in like that email. He responded to the email immediately, and he still didn't offer me an internship. He was just like, he's like, okay, like, I like what I'm hearing, like, maybe we could figure something out this summer. He's like, maybe you could like, we could do like a phone mentorship or something. But like, something deep down inside in my spirit told me, no, I need to be in Oklahoma. So like, I had enough money at the end of the school year to book 2 plane tickets from Missouri, which is where I went to college, Springfield, Missouri, to where my parents were staying. Like, there was the one summer I could have stayed with my parents. They were getting a little bit more established in Northern California, and then back. But what I did was, at the beginning of the summer, like, he told me to show up like a month into the summer. So what I did was, I booked a plane ticket from Missouri to my parents, and then a month in to Oklahoma, and that was it. Like, I didn't have a car, I did not have a job, but that was like my like, after that, I think I had like $80 to my name. So I booked that ticket, went to Oklahoma, just like off faith, and I got there, and this was like the thing that kind of like, just is crazy to me. But like, I'm there, and I knew, and it's just like good to know people. Like, I knew a friend from college who happened to like, he happened to live not too far, and he's like, listen, I don't have an extra room, but you can like, you can sleep on our couch if you can just contribute to rent. So pay $150 a month and just like sleep on the couch. So I was like, all right, I'm down. But I still didn't have a car. So I had agreed to that, but I didn't have a car when I got there. But it just so happened that one of my other friends, he's like, hey bro, I'm gonna be at a camp like an hour outside of Oklahoma City. We're gonna be stuck at the camp for 2 weeks. You can use my car. And it's just like, the timing was insane. So I flew in, was able to pick up the car, had that car for 2 weeks. So during that 2 weeks was like one of the most crucial weeks of my life, because all I could do was just like, like go to the gym. Like, I was eating, I was going to Dollar General, and you know how sometimes they have the little refrigeration section,
sir.
and it's just like straight chemical that they call food, right? I would spend like $5 a day, just like one meal. Like, that's all I could afford. Not even 5, sometimes 2, like just get whatever I could afford, one meal a day. And so, and then coming back to like my friend's couch, and just like, that's when I was just like consuming tons of like podcasts and just reading and studying and getting closer to God. And then And then so I get there, I'm telling this guy, hey, I'm here. He's like, okay, wait, we'll meet. And then a weekend, he's like, okay, hey, let's grab like coffee. So we go grab coffee. Met him for the first time. It was phenomenal. It was great. And at the end of it, I was like, yo, so like, you know, what's up? Like I know you said I should be out here. Like, and he's like, I'll get back to you. And I'm like, all right. So I go back to my little couch and keep doing the same thing. I was just like, you know, focused in. I'm just like, okay, let me just, you know, make the best version of myself. Let me learn as much as I can. So I'm there. And then he's like, hey, like let's have dinner with the family. So I go have dinner with him and his family. And after the dinner went really great. He's like, all right. He's like, I was like, so, you know, what's up with the summer? Like, and he's like, I'll get back to you. So I go back and I'm like, man. And at this point, right, it gets to a point where I'm down to like my final $6. Like finals, this is it. Like, and I remember my parents dropping me off at the airport saying like, listen, you sound like you have no plan. And they're like, if worst comes to worst, we'll put whatever money we can to fly you back. Like, but you know, it sounds like you don't know what you're doing. So I'm out there and I'm like down to my final $6. I'm literally like talking to God. I'm like, God, like I do not know what to do. And I had gotten a job, right? But it wasn't going to start for another 2 weeks. And you know how that works. Like when you start, you still got to wait for another, sometimes a month. So I'm like, there's just, I don't know. Right. And so I'm sitting there just like talking to God, like, yo, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's next. I don't know what I'm supposed to like, you know, I just said, I know you brought me here. I know you wanted me to be here. So prove it. And then I like literally like within that like 15 minutes, I get a call from Scott. He's like, hey, you know, like God really put it on mine and my wife's heart. And I think what we're going to do is like, he's like, we've got an extra bedroom. You can move in with us. We've got an extra car. You can drive the car and we'll pay you like a little weekly stipend to just like, you know, be my assistant. I'm just like, bro, waterworks. Cause I'm like, none of this made sense from the outside, but I knew this is where I needed to be. And I feel like that's one thing that a lot of people are missing today is like, number one, just the ability to really like take risks and trust your gut. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody wants to be 100% sure of everything before they ever do anything. And I feel like that's what is missing in a lot of like the entrepreneurs of this day is like there's so much information out there they think that they can be 100% sure, but they don't understand that like what makes the great is their propensity for risk. You know what I'm saying? Is like they trusted their gut. They knew that, hey, there's something right. And I'm not saying everybody should just move to somewhere random and take a risk on everything in life.
You're gonna get someone show up to your doorstep, bro.
Right.
Careful.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is like definitely trust your gut. If you know, because like for me, that's the only bright shining light at the end of the tunnel that I could see for my version of my stories. Like that guy's exactly what I want to be. That guy's he has financial freedom. He has a phenomenal family life. He travels the world. He speaks on stages. Like I needed to be around that. I was like, whatever it takes, I'm going to be around that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying like, find that version for you, find, and then trust your gut, be around it as much as possible. I did whatever it took to be around him. You know what I mean? And then like that's when my whole life changed because he believed in me. And now this guy's globally connected. And so like before I'm even graduated in college, like I'm having multiple job offers. I got every job I actually had after that was like them like offering me like, you know, twice the average salary you would get coming out of college, you know, flying you out there for interviews, like move, you know, they'll pay for your move and give you like a spot to stay at because, you know, I think that, mentors are a lot like the proximity sensors of when you walk into a store. You get close enough to a mentor and doors start to open. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people don't understand. Everybody wants it on their own. Everybody wants to be the guy. But like I think when you focus on just being around the right people, how do you be around them? Not just like, hey, DMing them on Instagram, like, can you teach me? No, like, how can you add value to that person? Like I told myself that summer, like, oh yeah, I got it good now, right? I have the car, I have the spot. I'm like, you know, traveling with them. But I'm like, I told myself, it like by the end of this summer, I should have added so much value that when it's time for me to go and finish my senior year of college, they should feel like something's missing. You see what I'm saying? So I added so much value that like I felt like a part of their family at the end of the summer. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's another thing people are missing. Like, take the risk, get the opportunity, but then like milk it in the sense of like make sure I'm talking about I'm washing all of his cars. I'm washing the dishes. I'm mopping the floors. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing everything I can for them to feel like, yo, this kid has that it factor that we need to keep him around. And I feel like there's just I don't see that anymore. I see a lot of people like they see all the flashy stuff. They're like, I want to be around. Well, who doesn't want to be around that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
You don't work
but it's
at all
like, but
for
what
it.
are you? What value are you adding? What are when you come into the room? I can say, yo, that person, like, he's got me on blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and you know that's really what changed my. And so, like, once again, like, it's like I got around him and was so close to him that like doors just started to open. You know what I'm saying? Like, doors, opportunities just started to open. And then I never lost sight of like those moments too. You know, I was never ungrateful. You know what I'm saying? I was always like tapped into, hey, like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And I've kept that. Like, anytime he's in town, I like go back to being the kid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if he's speaking somewhere, like he was speaking at a church the other day, like last month, and I'm like, yo, I'm carrying this stuff like I did back then. I'm a
respect.
whole ass CEO. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm carrying this stuff because I'm like, yo, I'm that I want to always have that posture of like respect. And guess what? And this is the kicker. This is the main thing. Because you get to a certain level where it's your turn to be the guy. It's your turn to have like people asking you like for opportunities. And guess what? I always get blessed with the right people. And I know it's because the way the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, works is I was that person. I was the perfect assistant. I was the perfect intern. I was the perfect employee at everything that I went to. So that's why I get the best. That's why those people come to me. That's why I don't have to watch my back with the people I got around me. You know what I'm saying? Because like it just came full circle. You feel me? So yeah.
You know, and it's funny that you even kind of mentioned that, and it's not a coincidence or it's not an accident that a lot of entrepreneurs that we have in here that are successful, they had a feeling that they were destined for more.
Yeah.
You know, and they didn't wait for a door to open.
Yeah.
They made
They
it.
kicked the door open.
Yes. Facts.
Right? And they put themselves
Facts.
in an environment where they can either grow mentally,
Yes.
or they can get the connections,
Yeah.
or financially they were connected to someone
Yeah.
that had the money to put them on. And I think that's the number one thing a
Yeah.
lot of these kids. And again, right, I'm in my 30s, so when I say kids,
You know, I
anything
feel-
20 and under, you know what I mean? You're pretty 30 and under, you're pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah.
damn near a kid.
Yeah.
But kind of like even what you're saying is, I was washing his cars, I was, you know, probably doing his dishes. You know, I would fold his clothes if I had to.
Yep.
I pray that those people still exist, right? Because nowadays what you see is everybody wants that instant gratification.
Yeah.
They want to rock the product.
CEO. Yeah.
They want to be the CEO, but they don't want to put in that work.
Yeah.
And another thing that you kind of touched on was being in a room full of people that are trying to better you.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
he was just trying to get you to be a better person.
Yeah.
He probably did that just because you were a kid that did the initiative to go out there.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like, okay, maybe someday this kid's going to help me. But now he sees you growing to who you are.
100%.
He just opened up a brand new door.
Yeah,
for himself.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, and it's really like a testament to like, you know, the level of investment he did, because it's like you can't truly call yourself a leader until you've created other leaders. You know what I mean? You like a lot of people want to be like, it's like you have to be able to. So for him, it's like he can almost like proudly say like, yo, I was a part of this. Like I was at the foundation level of this. And that even motivates me, right? Like I want to make sure like I make these guys proud because they invested thousands into me. They invested time. They invested putting their name on the line for me. And so like I have to do something with that. You know what I'm saying? So my parents set a phenomenal foundation. Then the right door opened with him, and then you know I ran with it. You know what I'm saying? I took that first generation immigrant like hustle and you know just ran it up. You know?
Yeah,
what I'm
no, I mean, I'm first generation as well, and we were kind of talking off the podcast about like what would get us emotional, and for me, it's always my parents because you know I see my dad work graveyard forever, and he motivated me in the sense where I didn't want to do what he did.
Yeah.
You know, and I
100%.
wanted better. I wanted that residual income,
Yeah,
and I kind of feel like those same vibes.
Yeah,
Or
no.
I mean, the moment we met, you've always been a super personable person.
Appreciate
You know, you would even message me like, "How's your baby? How's this?"
Yeah.
And those are the little things that people overlook. Is before you look when you meet someone, it shouldn't be like, "What could they do for me?"
Yeah, no,
Right?
no,
Like you got to humanize it.
Yeah.
You know, everyone that I ever meet, I'm always just trying to check in with them, see how they're doing.
Facts,
I could care less what you could do for me because
Yeah.
I could do this shit on my own.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But if you add value,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I add value to you, we fill each other's cup.
Yeah.
Then we're in a relationship. You know, whether you know it or not. We've been in a
Exactly.
relationship since 2019.
Yeah. No, and here's a cool thing too. I tell people like, you know, there's two things you should always focus on internally, and that's peace and focus, right? Or I would say joy and focus. And if you can have those two things, then it's like there's not a lot of people out there that have that. So you go into situations like with a certain joy and a certain focus that you're like, I don't need anything from anybody, because at the end of the day, if you stripped all of the things away, like if you have joy, right? You like that comes from the people around you, that comes from like having a fulfillment, right? And then you have focus, like you have a certain goal in mind, then like everything else you could possibly want will come, right? So if I have those two fundamental things, then like I don't really need anything from anybody else, right? If what I can do is I can align with people, and then we'll just feed off of each other. But anybody who's like desperate for something, then they probably don't have joy and they probably don't have focus in their lives already. But when you have those two things, then it's like, then you when people meet you, they don't feel drained. They don't feel like they're being taken away from. They feel like, oh, like I get refilled when I'm around that person. But it's because deep down inside, that person has joy, that person has focus. And when you have those two things, it's like that's like something that's fundamental as an internal person that you need to have. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I always relate that to like the home life. Like when I talk to trainers and
Yeah.
I always ask them before we even have a meeting, I'm like, so how is everything?
Yeah.
Oh, well, work. I'm not even talking about work. Like, if you're in school, how's school going? If you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, how is that relationship going?
Yeah.
Because then you set it up perfectly.
Yeah.
It's the peace.
Yes.
Right. My family is my peace.
Yeah.
So if my home life is good, I always tell people, if your home life is good,
Yeah.
man, everything else just falls into
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you said it a lot better than I did, but
No,
but
great.
so for you're one of those guys that when I'm around, I do feel like that. I get like excited.
Yeah.
Oh,
No matter what, you stop in the gym sometimes and I'm just like, okay, cool. I want to talk to you because you fill my cup up.
No.
And I've seen-
Same, honestly.
I appreciate
bro.
that,
Yeah,
dude.
same.
So
Facts.
I've seen you do that for a lot of your employees. So let's go into kind of like these same methods that you learn being an
Yeah.
intern.
Yeah.
You apply these to your business now. So Riches and Saints,
100%.
like, how did you turn it from that little office in Fontana
Yeah.
to this huge? I mean, you have a huge skyrise office in Long Beach now, right?
Well, in Irvine.
In Irvine. Oh,
yeah.
my bad. Irvine.
Yes, we're in Long Beach
We
originally.
we were at one time, we were in Long Beach, correct? Yeah.
And now you're in
yeah,
Irvine. So
yes,
I
yeah.
want to know how the whole Riches and Saints and the direction they're going and
Yeah.
kind of elaborate on some of that stuff.
Most definitely. So the main thing is, well, I'll talk about a little bit where it started. So like, I was doing like young adult stuff / social media stuff at a really big nonprofit, a church in Rancho, and they essentially had me come in to help with their young adults, because what would happen is there's like a ton of kids, ton of teenagers, then there's no young adults, and then there's a bunch of adults coming in and elderly. So they're like, we need to raise that demographic. So I come in there and I'm like, listen, you're like, everybody 18 to like 30 wants, like they're on social media. Like that's what you're missing. So I came in there, just use all this stuff that I knew from social media in the Inland Empire, and I specifically focused on building a social media audience in the Inland Empire. So I eventually, when I started, by the end of the first year, we had like over 2,000 people. We lowered the average age of the entire 12,000 member church, and it was really cool. But all that to say, I had a volunteer team, right? That volunteer team, not paid, they were the ones helping me with social media. So we had some people who would essentially like there are some people who are still videographers to this day. Like that's their full-time income, that I had remember saying, hey, I'm gonna sit up here and like host this like session. Here's my phone. Like, go crazy on social media. Like, I need you to capture a bunch of videos. And they start with the phone, got the church to eventually buy them a camera. And now so a lot of people started that way. So I we did such a phenomenal job for that organization that what happened was the donors, like the biggest donors there, were like, yo, could you do this for our businesses? And so I took my top volunteers and I said, yo, like let's rock out on these guys' businesses, and I can actually pay y'all, like, because they were there like 5-6 days out of the week. So I was like, yo, like I can actually pay y'all now. So we ended up that's kind of how that's how the idea started. We didn't have a name yet though. And then I met Lola. Lola is, you know, Lola's the co-founder of Riches and Saint. She's like my sister. Her and her family are like family to me because they really, you know, they really took me under their wing, like, you know, because I just been used to like winging life since I was 17, you know what I'm saying, on my own. So they really took me in. And so Lola's my business partner. She's my sister. And so she's like the aesthetics person. She's the creative aesthetics person. I'm more like the business and growth side of things. And so her and I put the idea together. She came with the name Riches and Saint, and we started meeting at a Starbucks in Victoria Gardens, like as many days as possible. But at the time, we all had jobs, right? And then eventually, like, I was able to like completely leave that my job, and I just focused full time on Riches and Saint. That's when we eventually moved into that office that you know we first met you at. And then we're like, yo, we got an office. We're paying $800 a month. This is like a lot. So we're like, we got to make money to like afford this stuff. And it was funny because at first it was literally like me and Lola just splitting the rent. Like whatever we make, like whatever little money we make, like you pay 400, I'll pay 400, and like we're just splitting the rent. But then I took the same tactics that I learned. I was like, okay, hey, let's take people and let's develop them, right? Like, cause like I wanted to do two things. I wanted people to grow and our business to grow at the same time, right? So what I would tell people is like, keep your job, keep your full-time job, but like, give me your extra time. And I promise you, this is the promise I make to you, like I'll make it worth your time. Right. So we would have people just like join us after they get off work at Starbucks. And we would, you know, at first and then eventually move to the office. Then they'll join us at the office. And we were just constantly making calls, trying to like get people to like, you know, use our services because we knew we were good. But like I would find somebody who knew one certain thing. I'll be like, what do we need to get you better? I need a camera. Okay, let's figure out how to get you a camera. What do we need to get you better? I need to watch a course, but it costs $400. All right, well, here's $400, like let's go. So we were just constantly developing everybody 100%. And it's interesting because the first like year or so I didn't make any money from Riches and Saint. What I did was I just put all of it right back in. Yeah. And I just had to like, I was thugging it out. Like I was just having to figure things out. So like Riches and Saint just had its own like you know, was able to thrive. And then so we started creating all these scenarios where we finally got to a point where it's like, yo, wow, we had like a great result. Like we finally said, okay, we can say we're good at this because we saw somebody go from here to here. And there was one particular point, and it was pretty early on, where we ran a campaign for a lady, and she had invested $500 into that campaign, but the campaign generated $15,000 in 4 days. So we're like, whoa, like this is crazy. So we're like, let's try to do this again. And then we ended up getting like, you know, a couple other contracts to like help with social media and blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, I really just like spent every waking hour, like I'm talking about, I would get up at 6, have meetings from 7 to like 7:30, like literally 12 solid hours of just like going to LA, going to businesses all around the Inland Empire, and just like trying to like help them understand how social media could help and add value to their business. And
So like in-person pitches, like you were the person.
100%. That was me all day long. So I would do that, and you know, we would close some of those deals, and then we would help, and it was always small businesses and with very limited budgets, right? So we would help them, and so then I would just use those results and try to take it to these bigger businesses, but I just wasn't connected enough on that level. Like I'd have to go out to LA to find those opportunities, you know what I mean? So you know, we handled it enough to where, you know, we were able to like do some really cool things, like with Shark Tank, and you know, we like one of the companies that we did a job for, it's actually was named one of the top 3 most successful brands to ever come out of Shark Tank because of an ad campaign. An ad campaign that we did for them has generated millions.
Wow.
Yeah, it's owned by Mark Cuban and Damon John. So we've been able to do some stuff like that. And we still were very relatively small when we did that. And we made a lot of mistakes, but we learned from them really quickly. Got into really bad partnership. Me and Lola actually had another partner at one time, and just it was the worst experience of a lifetime. Like just mishandled funds, all this stuff. But we kept true to like our core. We knew that if we focused on grow the team will grow our clients.
Oh.
That's all we did.
Yeah.
That's all, and I know that's your model. That's your model as well. Yeah. But that's what, because we knew that the traditional business model was not going to work for us, because with the traditional business model, I needed a lot of upfront cash. You know what I'm saying? We just didn't have that.
Yeah.
So we're just like, yo, like let's just focus on growing the team, and like we don't have a lot of capital to start, but we have time and we have skills. So let's grow our skills and use our time. So we just kept doing that, and it was just this. It felt like 10 years, but it really hasn't even been. But it was just us constantly. And then everybody, and I think one thing that we can say about Rich is Insane too, is everybody's just really focused in on what they're good at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, my ads person, Darren, shout out to Darren. She's like the little sister I always wish I had.
And she was the one that helped us out.
Yes.
Big
yes.
shout out to her.
Yeah. And I'm telling you,
She was a monster.
yeah,
with
when
it.
Darian started with us, she was making like $400 a month, like, because I was just like, keep your job, like this is all we
Yeah,
got for you. You know? So we had one little contract for you, and then now she's 6 figures, living her best life. Yeah, 100%. So it's like, you know, we just kept building, and you know, we focused on, if you grow the team, if you invest into your people will grow the clients. And we've kept that model. Now we're all up in Hollywood, LA, doing all the
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Man, I feel like it's every time we have someone in here, it's always the same. I don't want to call them ethics, just the same
Principles and-
thought
yeah,
process
yeah.
of like you. I like what you said. You didn't have money, but what you had was time.
Yeah.
A lot of people listening to this right now
Yeah.
are like, okay, I look at my account right now, I don't have it. But what are you doing? You have time. If you're watching Netflix,
Man.
if you're doing something, you have time to get out there and
You
network.
immerse in the podcast, the
Yeah.
YouTube, to learn
Immerse yourself in the information. I mean, that's the reason why we started this podcast, because I'm a big, heavy podcast listener.
Yeah, same.
I love every time I hear you talk. I mean, you guys, I'm not lost for words a lot, but right now I'm like super lost for words.
Oh, yeah.
But what you're doing with your team, Richard and Saint, one of the things that really drew me to them was everybody on the team was speak highly of you.
Yes.
Everybody from anyone I ever interacted with spoke highly of you, and I see now why you put so much value into them. And I feel like the thing that you do best is you're a great motivator. Like I'm motivated right now. Like I want to take.
What are we doing after this?
I'm literally looking at Marissa like, are we doing enough?
No,
But-
even talking to Lola, I mean, your partner, like, she speaks so highly of you, and you guys, like, you are the yin and yang to
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other's business,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that's so important, having
Yeah.
that person to feed off of.
Yeah, no, 100%. And me and Lola do, like, in certain situations, she's good cop and I'm bad cop, and certain situations I'm bad cop. And I can
Yeah,
imagine it's
yeah,
the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Sure.
no, for sure. But I really, you know, I think that, you know, I've learned to be very self-motivated. You know what I mean? I've learned to, like, you know, because if I don't get up and get stuff done, like, now we're at the point where we've got people who have kids on our team and who are having more kids, and you know, like, so I'm like damn, like I gotta feed families over here, so I gotta get up and get it done. So now I've learned to be very self-motivated, and then still back to like one of the first things I said is like I really look at life like an adventure. I really don't think and I feel like if you talk to some of the most successful people, like they have just like this childlike, you know, like demeanor, like, yo, like keep it fun. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's hard, keep it fun. Not that we don't take things seriously, but like we really do keep it fun. And anytime like I feel like I'm not enjoying it, or at least I'm not enjoying the process, because things are hard. Like we still get stressed out. We still have issues. Like people still try to like come for us, but I always like, I'm just like, yo, like this is part of it. Like we're in this thing. We're not going nowhere. Like this is what I'm gonna do. Even when the pandemic hit, we had 3 big clients drop immediately. And then I was like, I remember like, I'm not gonna say who, but somebody on the team was like, yo, we might have to get jobs. Like, I'm like, I looked at everybody, I was like, listen, every single person could leave. Every single one of y'all could leave, but guess what? Like if we come back tomorrow, you're gonna find me right here still doing this. I'm not giving up on this thing. And like that was when our business really took off, because then everybody was like,
Everything went
oh
online.
my, yeah, everything went online. And then everybody was just like, yo, like if he's that confident in not just himself but in us, then like come on, like let's go. So we literally, like, that's when things really took off. Everything went online, so it was like a really it was a perfect storm. And then we just got more and more opportunities to do more and more for great businesses. All the people that we'd been trying to get meetings with, but they were too busy, they were just stuck at home. So now I'm like cranking out
Cold calling
calls,
everybody.
yeah. So we were really making it happen. So it's, you know, that, and then, you know, just more and more opportunities. And you know, you get to a certain point where you start being known for something. And I think we've done a solid job of creating like a brand that people could, like, that's outside of Izu or outside of Lola, that people can be proud of. You know what I mean? Everybody who's a part of it. Like now I have interns bringing interns saying like, yo, like you want to stay stuck at home with your parents and just, or doing nothing, like, nah, just come with me to the office. So we'll show up at the office like, who is this kid here? Like, and we're here, we are adopting another intern, you know what I'm saying? So like, but I love it, you know what I mean? And I feel like and I love doing it because it just reminds me of where I was at, you know what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to tell that story, especially because, you know, we're blessed to be able to do that for a lot of other people now. And you know, it's kind of gotten to the point where we're like, you know, now we're just focused on like the biggest, best projects. You know, we can be selective with who we work with, but you know, it's just cool because we've not gone far from our core, just focusing on, like, you know, growing people. And then, you know, you grow people and then the people grow the
And
clients.
your team has grown tremendously. Like we
Yeah.
said, Matt, we love him to death, but now we can't even get in with him because he's so
Yeah, dude, I can't even. So what Matt does now is Matt sends his brother to shoot us. Matt collects the money and sends Jesse.
That's hilarious.
And I'm
That's
like,
hilarious.
damn, Matt, you used to be the guy behind the camera. Like, "Bro, I got other projects. To
Yeah,
do."
yeah. That's how it is.
I mean, your story, just your energy right now. I mean, if you guys are listening to this podcast and you're in your car driving to work, or you're, you know, behind a desk somewhere, this is the kind of shit that I feel like is going to get you up and moving.
Yeah.
Right. This is the kind of shit that I listen to on podcasts that I'm like, okay, yo, am I doing the right thing for my team? And pandemic, you know, we had it fucking hardest. We were a gym.
Man,
I had a very similar meeting. I was like, yo, we can't change any of this, but we're gonna make sure we're the best fucking outdoor gym there is in Southern California. And everyone's like, all right, cool. I was doing water balloon fights, bro. I was
I love it. I love
because,
it.
you know, I was going through a lot of shit, but it was still fun to me.
Yeah.
And I love that. You know what I mean? It's still, the process
No
has to be
interruption.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
The work is going to be hard. When it's hard, it's
good.
hard.
It's good.
When you're an entrepreneur, when you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah.
And you can never clock in or out. But man, if you don't enjoy it, then it ain't for you.
Got to enjoy it, man. Yeah. And I also think that, like, you know, it's like, enjoy the process. And then, like, I think what's helped me a lot is, like, I've like done my best to motivate other people to enjoy it too. You know, tell them like, yo, lighten up. Like,
Well,
this
you
is what we do.
You walk what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
no,
So
absolutely.
You can just feel that when you're
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
it.
no, absolutely, yeah. So it's been fun, man, and and even when things are great, I'm just like, yo, like, this don't mean nothing to me. We've been here before, like we've been in way worse situations. So you know, it's dope. It's dope.
So right now, you guys are how many different departments you guys have, or like kind of walk us through the business in general.
So yeah, so I mean, really, Riches is saying as a whole is like, now we're essentially like a digital creative growth company. Like, we are focused on, like, you can bring a brand, you could bring a personality, you could bring a product, an idea, whatever it is, and we will use the internet to brand it and grow it, right? Where it could be for social following, it could be you want to make more money, whatever it is. But you know, we have the ads department, that's like the media buying department is what we call it, and they are in charge of like all the ads on every platform: Google, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, all that good stuff. We have the content creators, so we have guys who, you know, shoot videos and photos. We have the graphics department, Lola's in charge of that, and a couple other departments where, you know, we create like the graphic design stuff that you would see, the aesthetics of a brand. Like, you know, a lot of people, when they're building a brand, they jump right into, they get a logo and they just start doing stuff. But it's like you have to have like font families that you follow. You have to have like certain color palettes that you're consistent with, that are not just basic like black and one other color, or red and one other color, or blue, or one, like you want to have like a breakdown of like, okay, well, when I'm doing like certain pieces of things, like it needs to be like a family of colors and fonts that I follow. And so Lola's a genius with that stuff. And one thing I've always said, especially like with certain people, like with our team as a whole, but like especially with certain people, it's like I'll put them up against the best in the world. Like that's how much I believe in our teams. Like we're so good at what we do. Like I want, like I've met with some of the top marketing agencies and I'm like these guys are not better than us. They are just in the right spot at the right time. You know what I'm saying? They had a million capital to start. And so one thing I'm always trying to push like into, like I'm trying to break these ceilings, because I'm like, when I get in there, I'm realizing like, yo, like because we came from the gutter, because this is not like just a degree, or like, it's like we literally have built businesses, helped businesses grow from nothing to like 6 and 7 figures, sometimes more. Because we've done that, like I'm better than any marketing VP of any global company, because they got a degree and knew somebody and got put in a position most of the time. You know what I mean? So like we're always like, I'm always like talking like crap on these people. I'm like, nah, I'm for sure finna like bust into this room and like threaten y'all with like how good we are. So, and then outside of that, we have like the account managers and then just the executive team. So
Right. So
yeah.
I mean, right now you guys are booming.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
I send everyone to you. So someone that's listening to this and they have let's just say a juice shop in Covina.
Okay. Yeah.
Are they able to reach out to you? Do you guys deal with? I mean, right now you're talking a lot about the 7-figure industries, but you guys can help mom and pop.
Yeah, we can essentially help anybody. This is what I tell everybody is like you won't leave with nothing. You know, there's some situations where, because at the end of the day, there's only a certain amount of time in every single week. So it's not that we don't want to or we're too bougie to do anything, but it's like it's a time thing, right? And it's not just mine and like 3 or 4 other people's time anymore. You know, it's like, you know, we've got almost 20 people. So it's like I have to be very careful with like what I commit to, right? So you know, what I would tell people is like, first things first is like how serious are you about marketing, right? Like not even marketing. How serious are you about growing your business? And so a lot of people, like, they're flirting with the idea of growing their business. Well, it's like, it doesn't even matter how much money you have. I don't want to work with you because, or do you believe in what you do? You know what I mean? So I'll ask people a lot of like basic questions, like, you know, like, okay, well, have you figured out like how much of your product have you bought? And they're like, oh, like I have like 12 pieces. I'm like, okay, well, like there's already not much to sell, but like do you have another order ready? And they're like, no. Well, it's like, well, like we're coming in more passionate about what you do than you are. So why would I do that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So and unfortunately, that's most small business owners. Like they're like,
they're scared to spend the little
exactly. And they, at the end of the day, they wanted to make money. They don't believe in what they're doing, right? Which it's okay with having side hustle plays, but like you got to understand that's still an investment. So then eventually I get to the question of like, oh, well, like how, like I want to know how aggressive you want to grow. And $200 a month is not an aggressive budget. $1,000 a month is not an aggressive budget. $3,000 is just starting to feel like, okay, maybe we could do something with that. But it's like our team, if we're committed to it, like we're gonna Kobe it. Like we're putting in extra hours to make sure this works because our name is on the line. Yeah. Our legacy is on the line. So if you're not a serious partner, because that's what I consider the businesses that we work with as a partner, then why would we take it on? So it's not even about like what level you are. It's like how serious are you about this thing? And if you're serious about it, like if we tell you, hey, realistically, like with the competition level of like ads on Facebook, like you gotta have $5,000 in ad spend. If you're serious about it, you'll find that $5,000 and get it. Because it's not just about like what it costs for Richard to say. It's way more about like, do you want to compete? Do you want to win? Do you want to be the best? You know, like we tell everybody, like it doesn't matter if you're an esthetician. It doesn't matter if you do lip fillers. Like you should be the Apple of lip fillers. You should be the Disney of estheticians. Like you should want to be the best at what you do. And so that's more what we care about than like what level they're at or the money, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
And especially with the direction that you, I mean, I go to you for everything. So like when I'm like, hey, well, okay, what's up with
Yeah,
these
yeah,
reels?
yeah,
What's up
yeah,
with
yeah,
TikTok?
yeah.
So the direction social media is going, what do you think? Let's just say we have a lot of young entrepreneurs that listen to this.
Yeah.
Young entrepreneur, they're just starting off. Where should their focus be on as far as on social media? Like what outlet do you think is the best?
So I think TikTok is just like unequivocally like insane with giving you people's attention that don't belong, that you don't have. Like TikTok will just put you out there. So consistency on TikTok is important. Instagram Reels is great. Ultimately, it does depend on like what type of brand you're a part of or what type of business you're building. The main thing I would focus on though is, just having like a clear message, not just in what you say, but in your aesthetics too, so that people, because this is why I tell people when people go to your Instagram page, like they should be able to give 2 to 3 scrolls and know what you're about without reading your bio. You see what I'm saying? Like they should know what you're about, like just the general, like, okay, like the vibe, they should be able to get it without tapping anything. They should be able to get it without reading your bio. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are posting with no goals in mind. You know what I mean? So it's like, have a goal. Start with just one goal. Like start with one particular focus, like one thing that you're good at. Because I do a lot of things. Like people don't know everything I do. And the reason it's always because I don't want to confuse people on social media. So I could post about all kinds of crazy stuff that I'm involved in, but I don't because I don't want to confuse people. People know what I'm good at. And they get that from me consistently. A couple of things like marketing and motivation, like those are 2 things you'll always get from my page. Then when you dive deeper into my businesses, then you get like a look into other things like Airbnb and the exotic car rentals and all this different stuff. So like I give people, but I don't want that to detach from like my core thing, which is Rich is Insane. So yeah.
Ooh, I hope you guys are taking notes on this one. So
I'm gonna go on my Instagram and do
yeah.
like the 3
No, but you know what?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Social media is such an important part of just this world right
Yeah,
now. I
yeah.
mean, when I get new trainers and I sit down with them, the first thing we talk about,
Yep.
the
Is their
first
socials,
thing,
yeah.
as I say, pull up your social media.
and take it off private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
No.
on private, I don't even get it. Get a Finsta. If you want to go private, just get a Finsta. But like, it doesn't matter what you do. Social media can help you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, we call it a social media audit. So
Yeah.
identical to what you said, I said, I'm just looking at your IG. I'm just meeting you. Like literally, they sit down. Hi, my name is so and so. I go, can you pull up your Instagram? And some people are like, well, why? Does it matter if my Instagram? I go, I just want to see what I'm working with. Right? Because what I've met is trainers that are phenomenal at what they do, but they don't do well in the business because nobody knows they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right. So my thing is to find out what your weaknesses are and help you out.
Yeah.
But right away, I was like, if I look at your Instagram right now, I just think you love to rave. Like there's nothing on there that speaks fitness to me.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad that you reiterated that
Yeah.
because now I know I'm kind of going in the
the
right
right-
direction for
100
my
yeah,
people.
definitely the right
Right.
direction.
We tell them that all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
There'd be like 100 pictures of their cats,
Like,
and
we
I'm
got
like,
the professional on our couch.
yeah, I'm about to pick your brain with some like stupid questions.
Yeah.
So like,
No, for sure.
so kind of going more deeper into Instagram, I usually tell people post 3 times a week. What would you? And these are just like basic
100%. I would go every day
every day,
at a minimum.
at a minimum every day.
It has to be
minimum
story
every
and
day.
post or just
So
something.
you gotta be multiple stories a day. Like and Instagram's algorithm requires a little bit less than that, but it's just more favorable the more you do it.
Yeah.
Right? As many reels as possible. And the way Instagram works is it's a lot. Like, and it's not realistic to say that immediately everybody can start doing this. But the way Instagram's algorithm works is, they reward you for using every possible feature, right? So going live, like that plays towards the algorithm. Responding to comments. You do a lot of this stuff really well. Commenting on other people's stuff. Posting on your story, using Reels, using IGTV, using like all tagging your location. Like Instagram wants you to use all their features, so they reward people who use as many features as possible. I think that if you're an entrepreneur, right, you're young, you just started, the social media thing seems overwhelming. That one of the most important things you could do is, and I'm gonna say this is gonna sound a lot, but build a system, right? So I think you should have your own system at first. Like, how do I post? Right? What am I gonna like post consistently? Right? And then eventually, like, start with one other person. Like, let me get somebody who enjoys this a little bit more and see how I can add value to them. And then the way they can add value back to me is to help me with the socials, right? And then eventually get to a point where there's a group of people working specifically on the brand's social. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for some people, this might look different. For me, I don't post on my own page like my team does, right? And so my operations manager posts for me, and then the content team captures content for me. So like that's my system, right? For some people, it's like you're a group of trainers, like a group of friends, like 5 of them, like y'all like hire, like throw in a group some bread and hire somebody to shoot all of y'all as a group, like the group training workouts or something. And guess what? Like one video you get to use 4 times, you know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, shoot it with different cuts, whatever it is. But like come up with a system that allows for consistency. So a system for consistency, and that's how you win on social long term. And then don't just think about Instagram. You have to think about TikTok. You have to think about the other platforms too, because mostly Instagram and TikTok, obviously, but like the other platforms, there's an audience there too. And then always think of it not just like what looks cool, but what people are going to respond best to. Your people are gonna, because a lot of times people just post stuff that's like, okay, that's cool, but like I put like even like the fit pics or anything, like I put that there mostly just like now my fit pics are my filler content, because what people interact more with is like my tweets. But back in the day, like anything words was filler content. You know what I mean? It was like it has no faces, but like that's what my people respond best to. But I put the fit pics or anything of me on like vacation or something like as filler content for new people who don't know me. Like I want them to be attracted to that, but then they see the value in like the other stuff. But I can only do this stuff because I have a good system. So initially you're gonna have to make your own system yourself. Figure out what type of content you want to post. Make sure you consistently post it. There's so many tools out there to help people schedule that type of content. But then you eventually have to step into where like, okay, well, if you want your brand or your personal business to grow, you have to have some help. Right, because it's just the way social media is. You cannot do it on your own. It's just a lot, or you'll do unless you're even influencers. Influencers all have full-time, teams. So find that, and if you can figure that out, and that's why companies hire people like me, because they have marketing teams, and it's still not enough to like do it. So they have to outsource some of it to a company like ours. You know what I mean? So that's where it's like make a system that allows for consistency. Yeah.
No, I mean, we have our team here. I'm looking around.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
I'm around right now.
And you've been doing that for a while though.
Yeah.
You've had people like, that you've definitely been like guiding to, and then they are adding value and putting your stuff together. Like I've seen that for a minute.
That's
I
what
love
we
it.
do is within our family is we will hire someone that's never shot before. I put a camera in their hand. I'm like, listen, dude,
Boom.
just start shooting. As soon as you get good, I'm going to pay you.
Yes.
And as soon as you really, really do well, other doors are going to open.
Exactly.
And sure enough, Alan.
That's always how it works.
Alan's been with us. Now he's doing young adults for his church.
Yep.
Full time on a salary. Just got married.
Love it.
I love to see it. And I tell him, like, he's like, I can't do it anymore. I said, bro, that's probably the best thing we could hear.
Exactly.
It's the best thing we could hear, And now we got 2 new people that, newer because we're working with them. And I have the same conversation with them, and part of the value was I'm like, you guys are about to meet someone right now that literally built a business off of what you guys are doing. And what I've seen with a lot of the trainers is there's so many people right now that are picking up cameras and getting good at editing. So if you're a new trainer, new esthetician, I guarantee if you put that out there, you're going to get like somebody's little brother that's like 14. That's like, bro, I got a camera. Like I know how to do the edits. I've been on YouTube and create a system.
Yep.
We have our system. Luckily for us, we have funds to be able to help with that. But in the beginning, we had no funds. We had the same thing. I would sit someone down and be like, listen, I can't pay you, but I'm going to be able to tag you. I'm going to bring people in your presence that potentially you can tag. They'll put you on their page. But there's always value.
100%.
And one thing I'm getting out of this whole entire podcast was just we haven't even edited it, nothing. It's just the amount of value that someone has to bring to the table, whether it be financial, whether it be knowledge, whether it be connections. There's some kind of value that has to be brought to the table.
And confident in that value too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you're around like such big personality like you, like you're like, you got to bring in your own.
100%. You got to hold your own. 100%.
Value is important, people. Always make sure you're bringing some kind of value. Riches and Saints in 5 years, where do we see it? What are we gonna do with it?
Man,
Are you in
it's-
LA? Where are you gonna move to next?
Nah, I mean, you know, what's crazy is like I want to. I think at a business level, I want to be able to have like a location in like Chicago, Miami, just to kind of have like that trifecta going. But essentially I want us to be like the creative solution. I see ourselves, we're going to be the creative solution for like, you know, a lot of like global brands and movements. You know, we're already in talks right now with like some brands, like I can't say,
Yeah.
but we're gonna bring back some old school stuff like on a global level, like stuff that like everybody on the planet grew up with. You know, we're in talks with some of them, but like really, and I'm just gonna be candid, like I would love to, and I'm like like one step, like one person in between me and them away, but being like like Kanye's creative team. Like, yeah, I've been rocking with a couple people on this team for a minute now. So like, you know, we're around OVO, like I'm around a lot of Drake's people, just seeing like, you know, what different ways we can add value to. So, you know, just like the creative solution for like global movements and brands. Like I would love for like, you know, I could see, you know, people coming to us and saying, hey, like there's like, we're trying to essentially like change a whole nation, right? Because, you know, there's like our government is the biggest, we have government contracts and those are our biggest contracts, but like a government saying, hey, like, you know, this is a problem that we have amongst the people because of the perception that people have of the nation. Help us change that. Those are the type of ideas that go through my head already in the shower.
Yeah.
And I want to implement that. Like I can, and the money comes. Like I've learned that the money comes. It's like, what impact can you make? And so we want to be able to impact people with our talents on a global level, right? You know, with what we can do, we could influence like we can influence like political campaigns. I've done it before, like
Right.
on a local level. Like we've ran ads that blasted opponents like out of the water. You know what I mean? Like so, like with that kind of power, like, you know, at the end of the day, like a lot of the worst things and a lot of the best things of all time have come because of media. Like I'm not gonna dive
No,
into
yeah,
that.
I mean that's a whole nother
You know
podcast.
what I'm saying? I'm
itself.
not gonna get into that, but but you understand, like that's essentially what, you know, we have the power to not only, like we have the power to create and control perceptions. Like we sit in rooms and decide what we want
The
people to
narrative, yeah.
think and feel for our clients. So we want to use that like as a force for good. We're gonna use it as a force for good. You know, I have some things that I want to do in Africa, like within the next 10 years that will change my country. And I'm using Riches and Saints to do
Nice.
it, to back me up to be able to do that. So yeah, so you know, we want to just impact at a global level, you know what I mean? And it's hard for me sometimes to even answer questions like this because, you know, I always get like these questions like what's next, and I'm like, you know, and every time like I set like a goal for like a year or two, like it happens in months. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just like,
a good problem
I
to
know,
have.
no, but it's
Yeah,
like
sure.
no, because even starting Riches and Saying, I was like, somebody was like, yo, so you know, I could see you. I was like, I could see myself starting an agency in like 2 or 3 years. Got fired from my last job, and in 2 months we started Riches and Say officially. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, and then we were like, okay, well, we want to get like a big client in like within the first year, you know, or first 2 years. You know, we want to get like NFL or NBA client within the first like 2 years, whatever. And we ended up getting it like in a shorter period of time. And we just like, we stepped up to the plate. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like to limit ourselves because I'm like, man, maybe it could happen this week. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we definitely dream big. We want to impact on a global level. But I think most importantly, I think to answer that question is, you know, where I see Riches in 5 years is like, you know, we've internally been a part of like, I just want our team to grow. I want 1,000 people a part of our family, and they feel like, or they get to experience, you know, their creativity, their talents, their skills growing and being a part of growing client stuff. And, you know, and most importantly, just them as people growing like internally. Cause I think we take a lot of time to like help people, find like themselves, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we believe in people a lot. So I want everybody to get to experience what we get to experience every week in our office, where we're like challenging people, like, what are you good at? What are you not good at? How can we improve that? What is like, I tell people, like, we do ask random questions all the time. Like, you know that game where it requires you to like go deeper? You know that game? You don't know the game? Okay, so
game?
I'll explain that.
like, no.
I should probably like give more context, but but no, it's but it's essentially this game. It's called We're Not Really Strangers. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. But and what it does is it asks you like different categories of questions. Like it'll say something like, what do you think? What about your childhood caused like your deepest fears, like, or something, or like what, like if you could give up, if you could do anything for free, or if you knew your business could succeed, what would change about it today? And then people give answers, and then everybody gets to hold up a card that says go deeper, meaning like you didn't answer it like on a deep enough level.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, definitely a great team building thing. So it's actually meant for like spouses, right? Or like people and partners, so like they could get to know each other better. But we do it for our team, and so like everybody get asked a question, and we're just like, we're not feeling it. Like go like
Yeah, that's a
dive
good
a little
one. I
bit
like that.
deeper.
I like
Yeah.
that.
So like that's stuff that like we just feel like it's the DNA of our company is to like challenge people to literally grow. Like our motto is create growth, right? Not just for us. Our motto is create growth internally, for the team, and then for clients. And so really like I feel like we found the cheat code in like business and life mixed together, and freedom. And I just want to keep getting as many people as a part of that, get bigger and better contracts so that we can keep on bringing more people. We can have more opportunities to do
You
that.
guys are
Yeah.
just developing better humans.
That's what we're trying to do.
Anybody
Absolutely.
who like joins your team, they leave a better person.
No, absolutely. And at the end of the day, like as humans, we all just want to grow. We want to grow, like, and that's the fundamental thing. And if we stop feeling like we're growing, we feel like if we're not growing, we're dying.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so it's like we want to create, like that's what makes me happy is when I get to say, yo, like we saw this person go from this to that.
Yeah.
Like that's the best feeling.
It really is. It really is. And I feel like unless you've done it, you don't fully understand it.
Man.
I know a lot of people have done it. And again, you could think of a smaller scale as
Yeah.
far as like a trainer that's helped develop a client. They lost
Yeah.
weight. You see that, you feel that.
Yeah. And even themselves, like they like internally, they as trainers, like that feeling you get when you look back a year and you're like, yo, like look at how far I've come, physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, like that's a good feeling. Like why wouldn't you want everybody else to experience that?
Do you do that for yourself often?
Man, I push, I feel like sometimes I push myself a little too hard. You know what I mean? Like there's sometimes where I feel like I'm surrounded by a lot of people, but I still feel lonely. And the reason I say that is because I like have this thing where like it's hard to turn it off for me. So sometimes I feel like I want to shield people from that, so I don't really I don't open up too much. So sometimes it's like, people expect this from me all the time, right? And I'm 27, but I feel like I'm 42. You know what I mean? Because I'm constantly pushing and pushing and pushing. So, it feels like, like when you're the driving force at sometimes, it's almost like, well, sometimes I don't want to be, but then if I switch that off, then people are like, oh, well, you aren't Izu anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm learning. That's like part of my growth journey is like, okay, well, what does it look like to like be that driving force, but still be 27? You know what I mean? Like still be human. Sometimes it pushes people away. Sometimes it like intimidates people. And then sometimes I'm like, yo, like, am I going too hard on myself? Cause like I'll do something, I'll be like, all right, cool, like I'm on to the next thing. I don't even take the time to really enjoy that. And so I'm definitely working on being more present in like, or let me not say more present, because I appreciate it, and I feel like I feel like grateful for everything, but I just feel like I'm too quick to like on to the next thing because we need more, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, our brains are always on.
Yeah.
And so I felt all of that because
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like I feel like my brain's going so much. I mean, Marissa knows I'll text her at the most randomest
Bro,
times.
me and Lola, same way.
Like random, and I always started off. I mean, Ethan knows too. I just put thoughts, and then I go into what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When I do that, it
No
means
need to answer this right
Yeah,
now,
I-
but
yeah.
Yeah,
Usually it means like,
yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
don't feel obligated to answer this right away,
Yeah.
but just pond over this.
100%. Like I texted Roxy because Lola's over me now because she's like she's like just text Roxy. But Roxy's she used to be my executive assistant. Now she's my operations manager for like my life. Like she has everything, you know. And she's got it all. So she I just texted her like, remember this word, and I said vlogcast. Because like just when I
Well, we
remember
talked
I told
about
you,
that,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I literally right before we sat down, I was like, remember this word vlogcast. Yeah.
Ooh, and that's about to pop up on YouTube now. She's working on it right now.
Yeah.
Don't give away all the secrets.
Yeah.
But man, it's been amazing to have you. I felt like you add so much value to this. Those of you guys that are listening, as always, we don't ask for money. We don't want you guys to give us money. This is something we do just for pure knowledge,
Yeah.
right? The people that we've come across, I felt have added so much value to me in my life experience that I want to be able to get these people on the show to add the same value to you guys. So the only thing we ask is you guys share the podcast, like it, comment, tell us what you think. But thank you again, man.
Absolutely.
For
man.
Ubering
My
all the way out here. Hey, next time I got you on here though, you got to bring one of the whips.
Oh no, I got you 100%. I was feeling.
I was
lazy.
excited. I was like, what's he gonna bring?
Honestly, I really should. Well, it's been a really long week of driving. So like, man, I think one of my goals for this year is just to get a driver. Cause you know, I live in Long Beach, but I have businesses in LA. We go to Irvine, sometimes in the IE. So I'm literally like, yesterday I went from Long Beach to downtown LA to back to Long Beach, then to Hollywood, then back to Long Beach in one day. And it's just meetings like back to back. So yeah, I think today I was just like, yo, I got an Uber. Like I just got an Uber because
I'm not even gonna lie. I was hella disappointed. I was telling Ziggy, I'm like, bro, he's gonna pull up in a Wraith or something, and then he's like,
man.
I'm here. I'm in an Uber. I was like, oh man, Ziggy, turn the camera off.
my bad. Hey, no, I got you. I'll pull up to the gym or something.
Pull up to the gym.
I
Record that.
got a new something. I think.
Oh,
you'll like.
okay.
Yeah.
But as always, guys, people can find you. We'll put your Instagram. You have a YouTube right now, or?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Coming soon.
We'll have a YouTube coming soon. But again, guys, we'll put the Riches and Saints, everything on here. Again, thank you again.
thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Until next
Appreciate
time.
you guys for having me. Thank you.